And I think it's evident how much they mean to me by how many times I've choked up talking about their songs. Greetings, everyone. This is the show where I talk about the artists that are a part of my life that I consider a big influence in the way I listen to music, the artists that envelop me with their sound and won't let go. This is Influencers. I'm TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. This week I'm going to go modern again. Last time I talked about the Ready Set, Jordan Ritzegruder, who also contributed to Neko Cat and Only Child. Like Jordan, this act is a current act. They've been around for about a decade now, and I really love their music. And to the point where it has done things to me that, even my boys and Hanson don't always do. Even the Carpenters don't always do. I have my big three: Carpenters, Hanson, Def Leppard. But Jordan and this act come in the 4 and 5 slot right now, even knocking Jerry Rafferty and Eric Carmen and a few other people out, which I'll talk about later in the season. I listen to this guy daily, or this group daily, and I think that they are one of the most incredible acts on the planet right now. And if you don't know them, I urge you to check them out. Now, this is going to be difficult because most of this is going to be Magic Box again. I do have the current CD, but I have the current vinyl too, but I couldn't grab it. It's behind the boxes. I've been doing stuff in here. The band I'm talking about is based out of Copenhagen, specifically out of the enclave of Christiania in Copenhagen. The band is Lukas Graham. Lukas Graham is one of the most creative bands I've ever heard, and it's all due to the confusion, probably, that the name Lukas Graham is the band, and it's usually associated with its lead singer, whose name is Lucas, but his last name is Forchhammer. I hope I pronounced that right. He is not Graham. They first emerged on the international scene in 2016, but they first exploded in 2012 in Copenhagen and their native Denmark. Now, their debut album, simply called Lukas Graham, features the brown version of the same cover. All 4 albums they've released have the same cover, for the most part. We'll talk about that in a minute. This album is the one album I don't have, and I haven't heard all the way through. I've heard the American version and the edited version, but I've never heard the original one. And I want to get to that point where I can get it. Now, it's relatively inexpensive on Discogs, but most of it is postage because it comes from Denmark. Nevertheless, I've heard a number of these. I have a number of the tracks on digital, and I love all of their music anyway, so I know this is going to be great when I finally do get a copy of it on CD or vinyl and actually can put it down and listen to it. The debut album, released in March 26, 2012 in Denmark and throughout Europe later that year, includes Ordinary Things, Nice Guy, Drunk in the Morning, When You're With Me, Red Wine, Apologize, Criminal Mind, Don't Hurt Me This Way, Moving Alone, Ooh, Interlude, which is just a few seconds long, Never Let Me Down, and Before the Morning Sun. There was a different version in Germany which cut out 2 of those songs and added 2 more, and several of those songs were also included in the initial American release in 2015. A lot of great stuff comes out of this band, and I happen to think that they are just one of the greatest acts of all time right now. Lukas is only in his early 30s. He writes most of the music. He does the vocals. And while this first album is very clearly in his wild period, back in his early to mid 20s, there's still great songs here. Drunk in the Morning, one of the few songs off this album I do have. I love that song. It's a lot of fun. It's not the most pleasant song in the world, waking up drunk in the morning, but it's an interesting piece. And one of the reasons, I think the biggest reason, I've become such a huge Lukas Graham fan is the lyrics touch me almost always. More than once they have made me cry. A couple of times they've made me bawl. And the songs just blow my mind. That first album isn't that well known to some people, but I know it, and I know most of the songs, but I'd still like to have it. I don't have that. Let's move forward to the 3 that I do have. The second album, which was also just called Lukas Graham. It is known as the Blue Album because it is the same picture in most of Europe. In America, they, of course, had to censor it with a sleeve that looks a little bit different. I have a picture up so you can see it. This is the album that introduced them to the world with their monster worldwide smash, 7 Years. Also includes Take the World by Storm, Mama Said, Happy Home, Hey-O, When I Woke Up, another interlude, Don't You Worry About Me, What Happened to Perfect, Playtime, Strip No More, You're Not There, and Funeral. Some of these, one of the songs is actually the international version. That's the European version. The international version is arranged a little bit differently, includes a couple of different songs: 7 Years, Take the World by Storm, Mama Said, Happy Home, Drunk in the Morning, Better Than Yourself, Don't You Worry About Me, What Happened to Perfect, Strip No More, You're Not There, and Funeral. Most of them are the same. After 7 Years came out, the first time I heard 7 Years, I was on the train. It was playing on the radio. And I just knew, something told me they were going to be huge with that song and with their music. I was right. They were nominated for Record of the Year at the Grammys that year. They lost to Adele's Hello. But their music is incredible. Lukas has this way of writing little stories, almost in the old tradition of some of the 70s story writers. I would actually compare him lyrically in many cases to Harry Chapin. He writes some amazing mini movies, and they are just an incredible act because of that. You had to be under a rock to not hear 7 Years that year. I saw an interview with Lukas where he was talking about the song and how he said none of the stuff in the song about his career had yet become to pass when 7 Years caught on worldwide, and within that year it all happened. That's pretty freaky, and that's got to be really freaky on a guy that's barely 25 years old at the time, maybe even younger. He's an incredible vocalist, number one. He can hit every note on the record live. I've watched so much live stuff by them on YouTube, it's scary. It is an amazing piece of work. Mama Said, also well known, but my favorite track other than 7 Years from this album is Happy Home. It's a lot of this music was recorded shortly after the passing of his father at age 61, and it's very obvious how much his father meant to him in so many of these songs. There's tinges of him everywhere, and it's also mentioned in 7 Years. You you have to be able to dive into the lyrics to really get everything that they do. This album is stupendously good. I've listened to it so much over the years, and I mean, there isn't a bad song on the album. Just like, you know, I like really good things, and usually there might be one or two clunkers, but like my big three, Lucas has never done that. He's never had a clunker. And 2015, 2016's Lukas Graham, known as the Blue Album because it's tinted, or the Painting Album in America because of the ridiculous sleeve. Because, God forbid, they have boobies on the cover. Um, you just can't go wrong with that album. I didn't think they'd top it, but in 2018, he did. 2018's 3, also known as the Purple Album, the same album cover with purple tint this time, is a masterpiece from beginning to end. Every single song is single worthy. Every single song is amazing. And 2 of these songs wrench my gut every time I hear them. This time they were the same as they were internationally. The tracks were Not a Damn Thing Changed, Lullaby, You're Not the Only One, Redemption Song, Love Someone, Promise, Stick Around, Unhappy, Everything That Isn't Me, Hold My Hand, and Say Yes, Church Ballad. From beginning to end, this would have been my favorite album of the entire decade. I love Jordan stuff, I love Owl City, I love Hanson. Purple Album blows everything out of the water in the 2010s. It's just an amazing album that I listen to 2 or 3 times a week because I never get sick of it. Standouts, Love Someone, which was recorded shortly after the birth of his first child, is an amazing song. It talks about, I love it because it's perfect. It's a song that I relate with my relationship with my wife, Kim. It's an incredible piece of work that basically says, you know, if you love someone, you make rules to make things work. And if you're not afraid to lose them, you probably never love someone like I do. That's really a hard, potent, puncturing lyric. And when you see him sing it live, and he hits those high notes, it's pretty mind-blowing. Not a Damn Thing Changed, which talks about losing friends at a young age. Again, the vocal, this song is in 5/4 time, which makes it very difficult to do, and I've never seen him miss a step in any performance I've watched of this song, and I love the song to begin with. For those of you who have never heard of it or don't know what it is, Lucas's childhood home, Christiania, is more or less an outlaw commune enclave in the center of Copenhagen, Denmark. It was formed in the early 70s, I believe, by taking over, squatting on some abandoned military property. And since that point, they've recently reached their 50th anniversary. Since that point, it's been a constant battle between Copenhagen, the country, and the residents of Christiania to get them under control. It's a very free society. They don't allow hard drugs. They don't allow cars inside the city limits of the commune's limits. They did sell soft drugs, and they don't have a problem with the use of soft drugs, but that kept leading to more and more problems throughout the 80s and 90s with the local police. And a lot of that affected Lucas as he was growing up, and it manifests in a song called Everything That Isn't Me. I can't listen to that song without crying. Um, he talks about growing up, and I don't know if it's autobiographical or not. I honestly don't know. But it sure sounds like it, because he talks about the kind of things that go on in Christiania and the riots that happened because of it, and the pot sales that happened. Um, that song wrenches me to the core. I love it. I listen to it all the time. Quite frequently, I'm weeping at the end of it. Um, those three songs alone, along with 7 Years and Happy Home, would go into a list of songs I could not live without. Not a Damn Thing Changed, Love Someone, Everything That Isn't Me. I also adore Unhappy and Hold My Hand. Um, I think that everything Lukas does is worth listening to. Which is why it became very difficult when the pandemic started in 2020. Um, at that time, everything shut down in Europe, of course, and a few months into it, Lukas Forthammer, as opposed to the band, started doing some online concerts and releasing new songs, some of which have not appeared on an album until this last couple of weeks, and some of which still haven't appeared on an album. The first single he released that I can remember during the pandemic is a song called Scars. It came out in, I think, early 2021. Lyric video with it. And again, at the end of it, I was in tears. It talks about everybody having scars as part of their life. Nobody is perfect. There's always going to be problems that are going to scar you in some way. We all got scars. We know it hurts sometimes. And that's true for everybody. I think Lukas has a way of capturing raw human emotions in ways that I haven't seen in a long time. And he just really amazes me sometimes with his perception of the world. It seems to be almost... this is going to sound weird. I don't know if he's a Star Trek fan or not. Almost empathic in the way that he seems to read the way the world is going. Scars is an amazing song. Now, most of the other stuff has come out on the fourth album. But there's another song I've talked about that I love dearly. And again, it talks about loss. In this case, it is the loss of a friend. The song is called Here at Christmas. It is their Christmas single from 2018, I think it came out. And again, that song just wrenches me to death. It talks about going Christmas shopping, picking out the tree, even buying a present before they remember that this person isn't there anymore, that they've moved on to afterlife. And Lukas has talked about how the subject of the song was always talking about building a boat, and it becomes part of the chorus. I don't know. You've got to have some kind of magic to be able to touch people every time you write something. This guy is the real deal. He does me. I can't tell you whether or not that's going to happen with everybody. But for me, it has. And I cannot get enough of his music because of that. This is the brand new album. Boobage for the Pink album. This is the US copy. Stay Above, Wish You Were Here featuring Khalid. This Is Me Letting You Go, Share That Love featuring G-Eazy. Home Movies, the current single featuring Mickey Guyton. All of It All, By the Way, Lie, Never Change, Save Forever, One by One. And a song called Hard Way, which is on the album, the vinyl album, and was on the European CD, but will be deleted from both on their second pressing. This is a god amazing album. I mean, it really is. It's more upbeat in some ways than some of the earlier stuff. I'm disappointed that Scars isn't on here, for one, because I love that song. But all the other singles that he's released over the last... actually, Happy For You isn't on here either. And I don't think that's on... Is that on 3? I don't remember if it is. I don't think it is. No. Happy For You also came out during the pandemic, and it is also not included here. The first single, Home Movies, is a song he duets with country singer Mickey Guyton on. And it basically is telling the story of a husband and wife who want their kids to know everything about them, warts and all. It's typical Lukas lyrics. Lie is about a bad relationship that broke up. Wish You Were Here and Share That Love both came out as singles in 2022. The rest of this original material is phenomenally good. And I'm going to pull up the booklet for a minute. All the lyrics are here. All of It All, I love, is this kind of a follow-up to Love Somebody, because it basically says how he and his wife work through their problems, because they both have issues, but they both love each other and they want to work through it because they want all of it all, as the song says. I find him gifted as a lyricist. As I said, I would compare him and the pathos he brings to the songs to the late Harry Chapin in the way that he writes his lyrics. This new album, grab it. That's all I can say. All of his music, it's all available except the first one, and you can get, some of it's on the first American release, and you can get it online, and you can order it. It's just a little expensive because it's mostly imported, and it's going to cost you more for postage than the album itself. They've done some other stuff too. One of the things they did do, one of the really upbeat things that they did, is a song called Off to See the World. It came from the My Little Pony movie a few years ago. Love that song. I'm not crazy about My Little Pony. I admit I am not a brony, but I love that song. There is also a documentary that I've not had time to watch yet that came out late last year called 7 Years of Lukas Graham. It is a look back at that first tumultuous year that they really exploded, and with new footage where Lukas is reflecting on, all the fame that has come his way. When he started, he was still single. Now he's married with 2 kids. If I'm not mistaken, I know they still live in the Copenhagen area. I don't know if they still live in Christiania or not, but his family still does. And it is a part of him, and it shows off in the video for Here at Christmas where they are, which was filmed in what's known as the Grey Hall. This is a place where they have music acts and where they do flea markets and big get-togethers for the whole community. I first heard of Christiania on Rick Steves' Europe a few years ago. I'm a big fan of that show. I never really watched it until one day I just started watching it and I got into it, and now I adore that show. I've watched the entire series online. Even though I've never been to Europe, I love listening to Steves talk about this stuff in that wonderfully unique delivery he has. And Christiania was featured in his episode about Copenhagen. And that's where I first heard of it. I didn't realize that Lukas Graham came from there. I didn't see it until after that, but I didn't realize it came from there until about 2 years ago. Well, no, actually, when Here at Christmas, so 4 years, 2018, when Here at Christmas came out, and I really have found the whole concept fascinating. I found the whole community fascinating, the way they think, the way they live. And it shows in what Lukas and his bandmates have done in the last decade in their music and their lyrics and their style. Everything about him says, I grew up in a rebel community, and yet I'm still me. That's why I adore their music. Now, there are a few things in addition to the documentary which you can order for, I think it's $4.99 on YouTube to rent. I haven't had time to do it yet. I'm going to one of these days. I got to. They have tons of concert footage on YouTube. And one in particular that I've recommended to people was done on the anniversary of the Oosterland Bridge opening. They actually performed a half-hour-long set at the tippy top of one of the pylons inside this little, I don't know, 8 foot by 8 foot area. I don't know how long it took them to get up there. I don't want to know how long it took them to get up there because I'm terrified of heights, and yet I will force myself to watch this because I love them. The bad thing about it is a lot of the dialogue is all in Swedish, in Danish. But the songs are in English. But the dialogue is in Danish because it was for Danish TV. But this, I mean, they're all performed live. Lukas does the vocals live. They're fantastic. There's a lot of concert footage. You can find footage of him doing American Idol a few years ago as a coach or a singing partner. Um, there's many documentaries online, all with subtitles, because, as I said, he is from Denmark originally. He does speak Danish as his first language, although he speaks flawless English also. And I find it interesting that he actually started his career as a child actor. He was an actor in a series of movies. Let me go back real quick and look at that. He started his career in 3 Crumminary movies where he played Grunk. I think he was 10 and 11 at the time. It's a Dutch family movie series from the early 90s, I think. I have not looked at those. I have not looked those up. Everything about this band has touched me in ways I cannot explain. I have tried to pass that love to other people. It doesn't always work. Some people just don't see what I see in them. But I truly love, whether he's doing an up-tempo number or a jazzy number, or because I mean all of it all has a very jazz feel to it, the beat behind it. The hard driving Not a Damn Thing Changed, which is in 5/4 time, maybe even 6/4 time, done amazingly, amazing works. I cannot get enough of the man. I've missed him both times he's been in Boston. He tends to, he actually has said in interviews he likes doing the smaller clubs, the House of Blues clubs in America. I've been to Boston's House of Blues. We've been there several times. It's not someplace we're planning to go back to. It's not that it's not nice. It's that there's no seating unless you pay for the nosebleed. And standing on the floor, on the railing, was possible for us last time we went there, which was the last time we saw Hanson, I think. Well, no, it was time before String Theory, which was at the Orpheum. And having beer dumped on our head is not fun from people standing around in the upper decks. It's a great place to see a concert, don't get me wrong. It's just not great for 2 older people who have mobility issues and really can't stand for 3 hours or 4 hours at a time. But I will see them live one day. I've got to. And I hope to meet him and say, Lukas, you have no idea how much your music has touched me. I haven't had that happen a lot. It's happened with certain albums. Hanson's Underneath did that to me too. Songs that made me cry over and over again. I love Lukas Graham. I will always be a fan of Lukas Graham. He could sing the phone book and I'd listen to him because I love his voice so much. And if you don't know them, get on Spotify and check them out, Amazon Prime, whatever you have. Or find a copy, a used copy of one of the albums. I would recommend the Purple album for as the best, but by far the Blue album, the Pink album, the brand new one, both phenomenally good as well. And I think it's evident how much they mean to me by how many times I've choked up talking about their songs. That plus I got stuff going on this week that I'm nervous about, medical stuff, so that's not helping either. But I will always adore these guys, and I hope that their career lasts a long, long time. And America, get over the boobies, okay? If you haven't subscribed to my show yet, please do, or my channel yet, please do. And if you have, thank you. And please leave a comment. I love talking to you about what I'm doing, and I love hearing what you think of what I've said. This one in particular, I'd really love to hear what you said, and I hope that you'll check them out if you don't know them, if you're not familiar with them beyond 7 years. Please check them out. They're a fantastic act. I have a lot of other stuff going on every week. You can get the full calendar at the end of every Kirkham Report episode on Saturdays. I apologize for the short one this week, but again, and then there'll be gaps this week because of the medical stuff going on. But I wanted to get this up, make sure it was up, because I had to talk about them. They are literally right now my #1 favorite band, and everybody needs to know them, and I really hope you check them out. I got a lot more people I'm going to be talking about, past, present, and current. Past, current, and future, probably, in the weeks ahead on Influencers, and I hope you'll be here. For Influencers, I'm T.C. Kirkham, the Kirkham Report. Thanks for watching. Ciao, baby.